I've been thinking, and as I reflect on my life before smartphones, I realize just how much things have changed. I grew up when cell phones were just starting to become common, but they were nothing like the ones we carry around today. I remember when cell phones were used for two things and two things only: calling and texting. You couldn't access the internet or apps, and there was no social media. And I remember the phones being basic. I remember most people having flip phones with small screens and keyboards. I remember the coolest phone being the one with the keyboard on the side that you could flip up. And just now, smartphones have completely changed what phones are capable of and how we use them. And I know that while connectivity and access to information that smartphones provide has its benefits, I find myself longing for the simpler days. As the philosopher Henry David Thoreau wrote in Walden, our inventions are wont to be pretty toys which distract our attention from serious things. They are but improved means to an unimproved end, and I just can't help but wonder, have our improved phones simply distracted us from the serious things in life, like relationships and nature? I remember life moving at a slower pace before the rise of smartphones, and I'm sure you can remember that too. I remember when we weren't constantly distracted by notifications and apps begging for our attention. As Apollio stated, leisure without books is death and the burial of a man alive. And now our leisure time today is filled with scrolling and swiping instead of quality time with books, friends, and nature. I remember as a kid, I would spend my free time outdoors, riding bikes around the neighborhood with friends until the street lights came on. I remember catching fireflies in jars and just having a good time without worrying about what was going on my phone. We didn't have phones then to constantly check or distract us. We were present with each other and the world around us. I noticed the trees and clouds instead of only looking down at screens. I was present in the moment, the here and now, which I think smartphones has taken away from me and just all of us. I notice and see that phones have taken over as a major means of socialization. Maybe the only way of socialization for some. I notice the quality of conversations has suffered. As Aristotle observed, young people are in a condition like permanent intoxication because youth is sweet and they are growing. I see that our conversations today lean towards the superficial rather than meaningful. Social media has warped and twisted our sense of friendship and communication. The philosopher Seneca stated, "One of the most beautiful qualities of true friendship is to understand and to be understood." Before phones, conversations were less frequent but of higher quality, and I'm sure you can remember that. Now, when you text someone, it's just, "Hey, what you doing?" And it's just so dry and meaningless most of the time. But then we took the time to truly understand each other, and now we just don't. And I noticed that smartphones provide the illusion of connection to others, but spending so much time engrossed in our own phones has made us more isolated than ever before. As Thoreau wrote, "The mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation, and our universal addiction to smartphones often leave us dissatisfied and depressed, and we compare our lives to the carefully curated snapshots from social media, rather than finding meaning in our own unique friendship." As Boethius stated, "Nothing is miserable unless you think it so, and on the other hand, nothing brings happiness unless you are content with it." I can see that our obsession with phones prevents us from being content with our lives as they are. And the sad part is that this mindset is a part of our culture now. It's accepted and has become the norm. I wish we could go back to a time when technology didn't dominate every aspect of our lives. A time when we could focus on the moment instead of always being distracted by the phone in our pocket. A time where our boss couldn't bug us on our days off. A time where we didn't worry about how many likes we have gotten. And a time where we weren't constantly stuck scrolling. As Lao Tzu said, "He who is contented is rich." And honestly, true richness and meaning cannot be found through our phones or social media, but through our relationships and time in nature. It can be found in the present moment, and it cannot be found on a screen. This deep reflection has convinced me to make changes to embrace the wisdom of past philosophers. I want to have deeper conversations where we truly seek to understand each other, and I aim to spend less time engrossed in technology and more time in quiet contemplation, reading books, and noticing the beauty of the world around me. Moderation and balance are key. I don't need to renounce technology altogether, but rather harness its strengths while minimizing its hold over me. If I am mindful about how I integrate smartphones into my life, I can still find meaning, connection, and contentment. And so can you.